My dad went on fishing trips every Saturday for 15 years. He never once brought home a single fish. Growing up, I thought it was weird but never questioned it. Every Saturday morning at 6 a.m. sharp, he'd grab his tackle box and cooler, kiss mom goodbye, and disappear until dinner. The routine was so consistent you could set your watch by it. Rain, snow, summer heat, didn't matter. He was gone every single Saturday without fail. When I asked to come along as a kid, he'd always ruffle my hair and say, "Next time, sport." But next time never came. By the time I was a teenager, I'd stopped asking. I figured maybe he just needed time alone, away from us. Maybe the fishing trips were his way of escaping the stress of work and family life. I tried not to take it personally. Mom never seemed bothered by it. She'd pack his cooler with sandwiches and drinks, send him off with a smile, and go about her day. If she knew something I didn't, she never let on. It was just part of our family rhythm. Dad goes fishing on Saturdays. That's just what he does. The weird part was, he never talked about the fishing itself. No stories about the one that got away, no complaints about bad weather ruining the bite, nothing. His tackle box looked ancient and I never saw him buy new gear. For someone who spent every Saturday fishing for 15 years, he seemed remarkably uninterested in actually discussing it. After he passed last year from a heart attack, I took on the task of cleaning out the garage. Mom couldn't bring herself to do it. I was sorting through boxes of old tools and holiday decorations when I spotted his tackle box on a high shelf, covered in dust. I pulled it down, expecting to find rusty hooks and tangled line. Maybe I'd keep it as a memento, something to remember him by. I popped open the latches and lifted the lid. No fishing gear. Instead, the box was packed with folders, at least 30 of them, all neatly organized with labeled tabs. Each one had a kid's name written, and on it, Christopher Davis, Jasmine Williams, David Park. Inside each folder were progress reports, math worksheets, spelling tests, handwritten notes tracking their improvement over weeks and months. My hands were shaking as I flipped through them. There were photos too. Dad sitting at a table with a young kid, both of them bent over a textbook. Dad pointing at a chalkboard, a group of teenagers watching. Dad receiving a handmade thank you card covered in glitter and crayon drawings. At the bottom of the tackle box, I found a worn notebook. Inside, my dad had documented every session. Names, dates, subjects covered, breakthrough moments. Jasmine finally understood fractions today. Cried happy tears. Christopher got a B on his history test. First B of his life. His mom called to thank me. Turns out my dad wasn't fishing at all. For 15 years, he'd been volunteering at the Eastside Community Center across town, tutoring kids whose families couldn't afford help. Math, reading, science, essay writing, whatever they needed. He did it completely anonymously, never told anyone, not even mom. He made the center promise never to use his real name in any publications or donor lists. I found a letter from a girl named Maria. "Mr. Thompson, I got into State University. Full scholarship. You're the only reason I graduated high school. When I wanted to drop out sophomore year, you convinced me I was worth more than that. You were right. Thank you for seeing something in me I couldn't see in myself." I sat on the garage floor and cried, reading through all of it. This whole secret life my dad had lived, touching hundreds of lives, and he never said a word. I decided to visit the center the next day to learn more. When I walked in and mentioned my dad's name to the woman at the front desk, she froze, her eyes filled with tears. Within minutes, I was surrounded by staff members, all of them sharing stories about the quiet man who showed up every Saturday for over a decade. The director, an older woman named Patricia, told me he'd helped over 200 kids in his time there. Some came for a few weeks, others for years. He never missed a Saturday. Even when he was sick, he'd call to let them know he couldn't make it and arrange makeup sessions. We were sitting in her office looking at photos on the wall when my phone rang. It was my boss, Richard Sullivan, the VP at my company. He asked where I was. I told him I was at Eastside Community Center learning about my dad's volunteer work. There was a long pause on the other end. Then his voice came back, thick with emotion. "Your dad's name was Michael Thompson? That's the man who taught me algebra every Saturday when I was 14 years old. My boss was one of the kids my dad never told us about."